All About English Lesson 2. Learn the English Writing System. In this lesson, Daniel and I are going to explain a little bit more about the writing system in English.
Right. We're going to briefly talk about how English is written with a pencil and paper or printed.
Listeners, you most likely know the alphabet, the 26-letter writing system that consists of 21 consonants and 5 vowels, either from your own language or from studying it. It has no diacritics, which are markings on letters to show the way a letter should be pronounced. Each letter can be written in 2 ways, uppercase and lowercase.
You probably have seen the alphabet around you, perhaps on products or on TV, even if English is not an official or even a second language for that matter in your country.
Some languages that use the alphabet have a phonemic system which...
A what system?
A phonemic system, which means that the sound corresponds to the letter of the alphabet. It means you can probably spell the word just by hearing it.
Right.
The spelling for English is to a certain extent phonemic, but the rules are more complex than other phonemic languages. This means that the spelling is not always easy to figure out just from hearing the word. This is because it has influences from French, Greek, Latin, and other languages.
Also, between 1400 and 1700, there was a major change in the pronunciation of vowels. This is called the Great Vowel Shift,
which also accounts for irregularities in the writing system. There are several theories behind this, but immigration could be one. The need to communicate with people with different accents meant adjusting pronunciation.
Right, that's for sure. That's why today you find so many words with similar or identical pronunciation spelled differently. For example, the double O in the word food is pronounced differently from the double O in the word good.
That's a good example. And also, I realized that since we use computers to write things these days, when I write to my friends, I tend to take shortcuts in my writing. For example, I drop double letters just to make things shorter. And when I find myself having to write something out by hand, I tend to doubt my spelling.
You're not the first person, I bet. So, listeners, as you can see, spelling is not always straightforward in English.
No, and also British English and American English sometimes spell words differently. We suggest that once you pick a spelling form, don't mix the two up. Just stick with one or the other.
Let's give some examples of tricky spellings for words. Listeners, go ahead and try to spell them out yourself. See if you know them. Give us one, Chihiro.
Okay, let's start with accommodate. That's ACCOMMODATE.
Those double letters are a pain, but necessary, which is spelled Necessary.
How about the word although? That's ALTHOUGH. But the word cough is COUGH. Similar spelling, but different pronunciation.
Good examples. How about just plain difficult spelling? This next word is also one of my favorite drinks, daiquiri. DAIQUIRI.
And if you're in the military, you should know how to spell colonel. That's COLONEL.
And one more. If you lived through the 80s, you might remember lots of fluorescent colors. Fluorescent, which is spelled FLOURESCENT.
Spelling is all about memorization, so keep on practicing.
And when working on the computer, always double-check your spelling with the spell check and with your own eyes. Spelling errors are frowned upon in formal documents.
Right, good point. Okay, that's all we have for this lesson. All About English Lesson 3. Learn English Grammar.
Oh no, not grammar.
I'm sure some listeners are having that very same reaction right about now. But we're here to tell you there's nothing to worry about. We're going to describe to you briefly how the grammar works in English.
Many of you may struggle with grammar because you can't understand when to use what, or you learned it one way, but people say a different thing.
Right. or you may know it in writing but just can't get it when speaking.
So let's go back to basics and try to break things down just a little bit.
First, what we want to do is take a look at the basic word order of English. Daniel, what would that be?
SVO.
Which stands for?
Subject, verb, object. That means that in an English sentence, the subject generally comes first, followed by the verb, and then the object. That's how English sentences are put together.
Can we have an example?
Sure. I drink coffee. I is the subject, the one doing the action. Drink is the verb, or the action taking place. And lastly, coffee is the object that receives the action. I cannot say, I coffee drinks, or drinks coffee I.
SVO.
He catches the ball. We watch the movie. These are all SVO sentences.
You may speak a language that has a similar word order, which makes English learning a little easier for you. If you come from a language where the word order is completely different, then this word order might seem a bit strange.
And English generally keeps the subject, with just a few exceptions.
Right. Avoid that temptation to drop the subject, even if the listener knows who or what is being talked about.
Okay, let's talk about tense now. Chihiro, what is tense?
Tense tells you when something happened in time. Basically, it would be past, present, or future. Only for the third person singular in the present tense is the verb adjusted to fit. In other words, for he, she, it, you need to add an S or ES depending on the verb. And of course, remember your irregular verbs. Watch out for a few exceptions like the be verb or to have.
Okay, so can you give us an example first of the present tense?
Sure. How about I eat lunch? Or in third person, she eats lunch.
Simple as that. And one of the past tense?
She brushed her teeth.
Okay, and how about one of the future?
He will buy shoes.
Sounds good. Now, here's what makes things a little complex. The aspects.
The aspects are often combined with the tense in textbooks. Therefore, you may not have heard about it before. But what it does is that it describes the nature of the action.
Now, listeners, before you throw up your headphones and say, what the heck is she talking about? Listen just a little more.
Okay, stay with me now. There are 4 aspects: simple, perfect, progressive, and perfect progressive. You've probably heard about this before.
The examples that Chihiro gave of the past, present, and future tenses were all in the simple aspect.
Right. Now, let's use the progressive to illustrate what aspect means. If Daniel says,
I am brushing my teeth.
with the tense in the present and the aspect in progressive, then he's talking about an action that is happening presently and currently. If he says,
I was brushing my teeth.
with the tense in the past and the aspect in the progressive, then he's talking about an action in the past that was happening over a duration of time.
That makes sense. As long as you understand the tense and aspect system, you'll have a head start in keeping your head clear.
Right, and also keep in mind that English has many irregular verb forms, which you should learn one by one.
But the regular verb form rules are easy to remember if you don't know them already.
Okay, good. Let's talk about something else now. Let's see. How about plural forms? The plural form in English is made by generally adding an S to the end of the noun. For example, apple becomes apples.
Right, but of course we have our irregular plurals, such as person, which becomes people. Mouse becomes mice.
And there are also nouns such as water. I would usually say cups of water or glasses of water, but those are all eventually acquired one by one as well.
Oh, but there is some good news for our listeners. English does not have any gender-based determiners, which means that the determiners before nouns are all either an, or the. You can use pronouns such as he and she for things if they do have gender, such as for people or animals. But all other things become it.
There are many other aspects to English that you can learn over time and with a lot of practice. But we hope we've given you a general idea of what you're going to study, or what you've been already studying.
Right, but the key is to stick to it. And you'll see that English comes along with such an international culture, and the language will bend according